Welcome back, and some brand news in brief now. And the Pew Research Center in the United States finding that social media sites have now surpassed print newspapers as a news source for Americans for the very first time. 1 in 5 adults in the United States saying that they often get their news via social media platforms. With dwindling advertising revenues across traditional media platforms, the print and publishing industries are particularly hard hit by tough economic times. Now, long gone are the days when publishers could only focus on curating one beautiful weekly or monthly magazine. This change has forced traditional magazine publishing houses like Associated Media Publishing to re-evaluate business models, to diversify offerings and find creative ways of incorporating commercial aspects into its existing product in order to survive and thrive.
I've been in this business for 25 years. If you look at the publishing industry model and how the model was and how it has evolved now after major disruption, it's very simple. I mean, we used to have one product which was produced once a month, and now we have 8 products daily, which are our digital and online social media products that are engaging with the same audience, all with different pieces of content, all with different ways of measurement that are embedded into those platforms. So you have to understand those platforms and how those are changing on a daily basis, as well as your beautiful print product, which obviously costs a lot and takes a lot of time and energy to produce.
This has meant bringing people with diverse skill sets into the business mix.
Never mind on the most basic level, where we've had to look for different skill sets. In terms of video, we never had the ability to produce video because in print you don't need video. Now our brands and our audiences demand video. In terms of data analytics, we didn't have the kind of data that is being processed and produced every single day, never mind the ability to analyze the data so that we can learn and get better at what we do. You know, digital expertise, that was a foreign skill set for us. So we've either brought in people who were more skilled than we were in those areas, and then we've learned from them, or we've adapted ourselves. If a person is not using every single platform, they cannot be in a brand business like ours. Now you need to understand, why are you reading a magazine? What do you want from that magazine? In print, on the weekend, on your couch. When are you using Facebook? What do you want from Facebook? Who's using Facebook? What time are they using Facebook? Then you've got to understand newsletters. You've got to understand what open rates are. You've got to understand all the metrics around every single platform. So whenever I'm interviewing anyone, it used to be, which is your favorite magazine? It's now, how do you get information?
In a digital age of instant gratification, Associated Media Publishing realized the need to use their traditional media offering to close the gap between its readers and storefronts. In 2018, the publisher launched its successful Ready to Shop initiative, which truly met consumers in their needs space.
We don't want to be a retailer because that's not our expertise, but at the same time, I think understanding how retail works is just so stimulating. It's an entirely new business. And when I say understanding it, I mean in terms of our teams who are curating product, understanding the metrics of retail and the planning and the different key deliverables of retail. We started this 18 to 24 months ago by testing, through minimal viable product testing, in our pages, the ability or the inclination for the consumer, who's our reader, to actually test this new way of engaging with our product, which was putting QR codes strategically placed, dotted around the brand inside print. And then we said, you know what, if we get one person to actually use the QR code to shop, that's one person more than we had before. And through that, we've started to iterate and refine how we produce the pages. For example, do we use QR codes that are in a different color, but all the same throughout one issue, to flag that wherever you see a QR code, you are able to shop? Because remember, you need to now educate your consumer about this entirely new way of engaging with the product. You need to explain. It's as simple as using the QR code, which is either you can use via Facebook or you could use on a smartphone, holding it over your page, and 30 seconds later, if not 10 seconds, you will be automatically linked from your pair of sneakers that you want to buy to the back end of the retail store, and you are able to purchase it in maximum 30 seconds. Now, instead of you showing me what I'd love, but now I have to go to the shop, I have to buy it, I have to wait, they don't have my size, they don't have my color, I couldn't get a parking space. while I'm actually inside that brand experience, I can have what I want. Who wouldn't want that? So it's almost like the idea that led to the innovation is a good, solid, consumer-focused idea. So it's got a better chance of success. Now you've got to make sure that you roll it out properly and get as many people to test it so that hopefully the new habit sticks. But just at the end of the day, what do you want your brand to be? You want your brand to be relevant to its audience. How are we going to make magazine media, which has for many years shopped the look, found the beautiful costume that you need for that holiday? How are we going to make ourselves more relevant? We're going to satisfy the desire of our consumers.
Our final story this week looks at changing perceptions around magazine media. Now, Associated Media, owners of Cosmopolitan, Good Housekeeping and Marie Claire, among others, launching a QR code campaign, essentially announcing what it calls an entirely new consumer journey by closing the gap, it says, between content and commerce. Let me take you to Cape Town. The Chief Executive Officer, Julia Raffaeli, joins us. Julia, a very warm welcome. Let me start with this, if I can, for the Luddite in me. Remind me what a QR code is.
I can show you very easily, but it's very simply an application that you can use to go you use your phone, and it takes you directly to the API of a website where you can actually shop and purchase directly. So we chose this QR code, which a lot of people are familiar with now. SnapScan uses a QR code, Zapper uses a QR code to signal the association between the magazine media environment and the ability to shop directly off the pages and platform.
And the strategic thinking behind this was what?
We've been working on looking at future-proofing the brands and magazine media specifically. And we had a light bulb moment probably 18 months ago. The obvious next S-curve for magazine media would be talking to consumers and not readers, and looking at our brands as shop windows. So we started to devise an entirely new strategy that was very consumer-focused and was based on transactional relationships with our audience. So instead of offering the audience that we have beautiful products which they can actually not shop directly from, we thought, there's a gap and there's a necessity for us to be part of growing online shopping in South Africa. We know that this will help us serve our audiences better by giving them the solution to the desire that we're creating. And what better way to do it than to curate product inside our shop windows, off our brand platforms, and actually technology is now enabling us to do this. So see it, scan it, shop it is in its simplest form, seeing something that you want and actually being able to buy it directly there and then.
So you are now merging, to all intent and purposes, content and the sales side of your business. Is there not a real danger of blurring the lines and diluting the power and the independence of your editorial product?
I think after having been in business for 34 years in the brand business, we would never dilute the integrity, because at the end of the day, our audience relies on, our editorial direction, the insights we have from what our audience wants. So we don't want to essentially become a catalogue. What we want to integrate the shopping experience, because that's what the consumer is wanting. And that's also what our partners and retailers need is, we need sales. We need to support retail and especially online shopping. We're talking about a more fulfilling user experience. And this particular campaign was conceptualized around creating new conversations around magazine media. And to do that, we had to disrupt the newsstand, because the newsstand is a difficult model and consumers don't shop for our product in the same way anymore. So we had to do something that was quite brave. And that's why I chose to do it across all of our brands. And I chose to do it through the QR code as an iconic signal. So every single magazine that you see that's published by us will carry the magazine inside a QR code, because we had to start this conversation.
It's predicated, of course, on you curating the products that you want to sell very carefully. So what sort of commercial gatekeeping then are you going through?
Okay, so that's a very good question, because obviously when you take a business model that was traditional publishing and then you reinvent yourself into an entirely new business model, you have to change the mindset, change the skill set of the teams that actually put together the product and curate the product for the reader consumer. So what we've done now is, at this point, with this QR code campaign, all the magazines carry between 40 and 80 products which are shoppable. People who are curating the product are fashion editors, are beauty editors, and get them to understand the buyer's mentality, because it's very different putting together fashion narratives, which are very important to the integrity of the brand and will still be there, but at the same time understanding, for example, 85% of fashion merchandise that gets sold is basics. It's not necessarily a ball gown. So while you won't not have a ball gown in your fashion spread, in your mix, because that's inspiration, you need to make sure that the people who are curating the product understand the majority of sales come from the best basic T-shirt that you're wearing. So our next step, to answer your question more specifically, is to upskill and work with the buyers of the retailers very carefully and in a considered way to make sure that we understand what we are placing in the pages and platforms of our brands is product that will actually sell. So, is it priced correctly? Is it shown correctly? Is it, yeah, exactly.
It's very much it's partly a survival strategy as far as print is concerned. I'm assuming, therefore, that there is a positive revenue upside as far as your publishing house is concerned. In other words, how do you make your money?
I think we've already seen this, because Takealot sponsored the July issue of Cosmopolitan, and they did that because I think, firstly, they understand that the audience who engages with our brands is the same audience that will be shopping online. They also did this because it was innovative, it was something that was more disruptive, and they didn't sponsor the July issue, for no good reason. So I think we've got a proven audience. I think this is just the start in terms of print. We're using print because it's easier to demonstrate and it'll be easier to change user habits. All of our other platforms are integrated with the same strategy of serving our audience better.
Julia Raffaeli, we're going to leave it there, Chief Executive Officer, Associated Media Publishing in Cape Town. Thank you very much indeed. That's also our programme for this week. You can let us know what you think of all of today's stories on Facebook and on Twitter. Until next time, goodbye to you. Thank you for watching.